Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dankster Intel. Somebody was saying to do this light, but my light doesn't show. My batteries are dead. I put new ones in there. Maybe this thing is broken. Anyways, welcome back to the Dankster Debrief. Today, it is your boy Danks. It is my birthday today, but we don't sleep. We grind. So I do not just kind of kick back and just let everything be. This is what I would rather do than anything else, really. My family's at school, work, so I'm here with y'all, and I think that's where I want to be. So it's a privilege to be here today. We don't take days off. We keep it grinding, baby. So we're going to be talking about some interesting stuff today about when foreign agents operate in plain sight, and we're going to talk a little history. And I will show you a little clip about someone named Jonathan Pollard. If you've heard of this person, he was an Israeli spy. But I want to go through a couple of things through the live stream that I'm going to talk about. So it's important that you like, subscribe, and make sure you hit the notification bell, because I notice I'm getting tons of messages of people getting unsubscribed, and I think that if you at least push the notification, put it on all, because it'll do personalize. If you do that, then you'll very much remember for sure I subscribed for first, so then we can know. And if you are getting unsubscribed from there, if the notifications get turned off, you'll remember much easier. And I need to know that, because I'll report that to YouTube. It's important, and if that's happening to a lot of people right now, we need to cover that and make sure that stuff is not happening. I cannot go for that. But yeah, so thank you for joining me. I tried to go live on Rumble. I messed it up, so I'm gonna have to test it. I didn't test it before, so that was on my mistake, so I just took it off. But I do have a Rumble channel. It's at Dankster Intel, everywhere on X and YouTube. Some pretty amazing stuff's been happening for me on X. I grew from 40 followers on X on Christmas Day. That was the last time I remember looking. Today I'm at 10.1K and climbing. So that's pretty cool. I guess Americans for Transparency is wanted on the internet today. And if you're not familiar, you can check in the description, or later I'll show you the banner that has the full investigation. So I've been putting my investigations into a different website called afnpt.org, or it's the same place as americansfortransparency.org. This site is to showcase nonprofits, politicians, companies that are supposed to be working for the American people, taking foreign money from your favorite ally. So the thing is, we have to start documenting and going public with information that we know. I happen to be a great researcher, and I have lots of data that I've compiled over the years, more particularly most recent. So it's going on the site. Like, I also have TPUSA on there. We'll look through it. I shared it with my members last week. I shared it on X, and I want to go through it as well today. And so what we're going to do is we're going to open up, and I'm going to explain to you the history of, how all of this stuff has been in the past. And I want you to clear your mind for a minute, because this one I'm going to walk you through, is not conspiracy land. It's not tinfoil. It's not speculation. There's congressional testimony. Oh, fixing my monitor here. Congressional testimony, sworn affidavits, declassified FBI files, 92 House Judiciary Committee meeting, or report rather, federal court ruling. I mean, all kinds of stuff that I'm going to talk about. And when I'm done telling you this story, this real story, I wasn't prepared, man. Jeez. I guess I was being lazy for my birthday. Yeah, I was being a little lazy. I was having breakfast before and making coffee. So, but yes, by the time I'm done telling you all this stuff, you're going to understand exactly why I built that website. You're going to understand why reading Form 990s and FARA filings isn't just nerdy government homework or content material. Who would have thought that going and diving into some company that nobody really heard about until Charlie Kirk's death, anyone would care about the finances of like me doing a full efforted audit on TPUSA's finances from what I can see publicly. I have no high school, no college degree, except I went to culinary school. I'm a sommelier by trade, and I'm a full stack developer, self-taught. And that's it. And that's all it takes is somebody that's willing to learn. Well, I'm a poker player too. So I've taught myself how to be very good at things that are very challenging, how to make money in the finance markets like crypto, especially poker. I've been playing poker for income for the last 5 years. Everything that I do in my life challenges me, and I do them because they challenge me. I don't do them because somebody else wants me to do them. I don't do things because somebody asked me to do that. Actually, I actually do the opposite. If they tell me that you shouldn't do that, or I don't think that's a good idea, I will likely go and do that. Right. So, I would highly encourage those that are out there that say you should do this, you should look into that. You're more than welcome to feed me links and give me information and send emails. But I will tell you that I only research and do the work that I want to make, right? There's too many people out there catering to what they think everybody else wants. But the reason why you started doing this in the first place is because, and why they're here watching me, is because of what I came out with, right? And I was just emailing somebody about that, and that's just something I want to encourage people to understand why it's important to follow your agenda and not get sucked into other people's. Is my camera blurry? Let me see if that's better. So, anyways, you're gonna understand really why all of this FARA documents, all this stuff is important. And there was a really good video. I don't know if it's copyright claimed. I really would hate that, but I do want to play a video James O'Keefe released recently on the 3rd, so a week ago, and it was quite enlightening about somebody about the FBI that, James O'Keefe, if you don't know him, he's been going and doing undercover investigations. He's got like a whole crew of Americans that work undercover and go on dates with people and extract private security information from like political people, FBI's, DOJ, like going on dates, like people simping out to these girls, and like they're just asking like crazy questions, and the guys are just like, yeah, like they're not gonna nobody in Minnesota is gonna go to jail, bro. I hate Trump. I hate the kids. Like dude, like leaking government private presidential information on where the vice president's kids are going to be. The amazing work that's being done by James O'Keefe, like whether or not he's on a certain party or he was at TPU, I don't care. What I care about is the work, the effort, the actual auditing going on. And as an American, I made a post actually today about it. Let me show you the post. Let me pull it up real quick before I get into what we're going to talk about for the day. Where is it here? I think I can share. Is it this one? Yeah. How come it looks like that? I made it different, huh? Oh, here we go. So I made this post actually is about the website. So if you go to my X, it's got almost 630. Candace retweeted it actually, which I thought was super cool. Check this out. I gotta brag a little bit. Candace showing love to your boy. That was highly unexpected. General Flynn commented on it. It is right here. Look at that. Candace Owens retweeted. So that's pretty dope. She didn't give a follow, but big ups to Candace. Love what she's doing and big fan. So we're going to definitely dive into what that is all about. And really, we're going to get into it. There's a lot of things to talk about with the history of everything. So love you all. Thank you. And you can show your support by hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and becoming a member. It's only 99 cents here on YouTube. The reason why I do that, well, not the reason why I do it, is for your offer to support. There's different tiers, but it starts at $1. But I do make all of my live streams, most of them, not all of them, some of them, private after 72 hours. If I'm diving into forensics and auditing stuff, it's just a small paywall to put at least some barrier, and it also gives some type of value to the members. And then every Friday, at around 11 to 12, kind of like how I do my regular live streams. We have a members only live stream. So if you want to be a part of the members only live stream where I show you stuff that I'm working on, websites that I'm building, private information that, information that I'm keeping private for a live or a video, become a member. It's only 99 cents. Everyone gets to be involved. And that's the best way to support me. And then there's other ways. You can go to Patreon and whatever. That's $5. But other than that, I just want you here with me and spending time really understanding the truth about what our country is up to. And that's important. That's important to me, right? So let's go ahead and get this ball started. Let me make sure. And we'll do super chats at least after I get through my intro, the daily debrief. That's what we're going to be calling this. How do I remove this thing here down here so it's going to bother me? Okay. Welcome to the new member. It looks like we have a new member, Laura Nichols. Yeah, like Laura Nichols. Welcome. Yeah, so like I said, let's get into this. Let's talk about truth. That's what I'm here for. Birthday or not, we're going to get this rolling. So today's story, it starts in 1982. There was a small office building in Washington, D.C. It was a company called Inslaw, INSLAW, and it was run by a man named Bill Hamilton. And he had just built something revolutionary. He built, he wasn't some random tech guy for sure, right? He was a former NSA contractor from the Vietnam War era. And his job during the war was building listening posts to monitor Viet Cong communications. And his signals, he was like a signals intelligence operator. And he understood at a foundational level how governments collect and process information about people. And after the war, Vietnam War, Hamilton pivoted to the civilian side. He created a piece of software which was called Promis, PROMIS. And you may have heard of it, Prosecutors Management Information Systems. And in 1982, the Department of Justice signed a $9.9 million contract to install Promis in 94 U.S. attorney offices across the country. Now, here's what made Promis so special and why this matters to what I'm doing at AFNPT, or Americans for Nonprofit Transparency, or Americans for Transparency. In the earlier 80s, most government databases couldn't talk to each other. All right. It wasn't like today where we have the internet and cell phones and all that. You had one financial system for financial records. You had another for criminal records and cases, another for intelligence reports, another for immigration. They were silos, really isolated. And if you wanted to connect a financial transaction record to a criminal suspect, for example, or to an immigration record, you had to do it manually across multiple agencies with paperwork and red tape all over, right? So when I say red tape, for those that might not understand that, red tape is like a saying for when you're in the US, or I guess anywhere, a government, like how it takes so long to get stuff done in the government. There's all this corporate red tape. So imagine multiple agencies in the government with all this red tape. Promis was the first software that could reach across all of those databases simultaneously, pull data, cross-reference it, and then track patterns across multiple systems in real time. It was the first of its kind. It was quite remarkable, to be honest. Now, for prosecutors, it was a case management tool, but for anyone in the intelligence world, Promis was a skeleton key. It could unlock databases, every database that it touched, right? So think about that. It could unlock every database that it touched. It was like a key, skeleton key. It can open up anything. Now, before I tell you who noticed, I want you to hold something in your mind. Think about what we've been investigating. If you've been following me on my X feed or in the Discord, or even a little bit here on YouTube, I've talked about it regarding Americans for Transparency. We've been tracking how foreign intelligence operations influence and use U.S. shell companies, intermediaries, and legitimate looking entities to move money and influence through American systems and Americans that never examine any of these companies. We've been following FARA in my community and certain people in my group, researchers, we've been following FARA filings. I personally have looked through hundreds of documents and Form 990s, which are the nonprofit filings for the IRS for a nonprofit, state corporate records, state by state, Utah, Arizona, California, you name it. And I've been asking who is paying who and through what entities and for what purpose and how is this even legal? Because trust me, to me, it feels like it should be illegal. Damn, this coffee is good. It's my birthday coffee, so excuse me. Mm. I love French vanilla. I'm a sucker for it. I use a Nespresso machine. Today I didn't. I ran out, unfortunately, so I had to go to Circle K. But I don't. I try not to, at least, spend money at Starbucks. It's way too expensive. But like I said, I've been looking through all of these documents, right? Well, that's exactly the kind of questions that Promis was able to answer. It was built for that. So in 1982, the question wasn't being asked about nonprofits, though, and FARA registrants. It was being asked about criminal networks and intelligence targets, but the methodology, the approach, it was the same because it's a technology apparatus that builds an order. It has an implementation and it does that across the board. It's like AI, right? If you were to use AI for one thing, it uses a similar chain of thought or chain of draft in order to accomplish another task. It doesn't matter. So it follows connections, it follows the money, it maps the network. Now, keep that in your mind as I tell you what happened next. Now, in February of 1983, a man named Inslaw, like I said before, he walked into, not the man named Inslaw, a man walked into Inslaw's corporate office, into downtown's Washington, D.C.'s office, and he identified himself as Dr. Joseph Ben Orr, a visiting prosecutor from the Ministry of Justice in Tel Aviv, Israel. And he said he wanted to see a demonstration of the enhanced Promis software that now ran on the powerful new VAX mini computers from Digital Equipment Corporation. Bill Hamilton gave him the full tour, showed him the architecture, explained the capabilities, the cross database integrations, the real-time tracking of everything. He showed him everything. And then the visitor thanked him. Ben Orr thanked him and left. Never came back to buy anything. So this office, Inslaw, was, showcasing this device and was selling it. So the visitor left. And years later, Bill Hamilton, the guy that was showing at the office this device, would end up identifying that man from photographs, and his name was not Joseph Ben Orr. His name was Raphael Etan, and Rafi was Rafi is what they called him, I think. And he was one of the most legendary intelligence operatives in the world's history. Now, for those who don't know the name, let me give you the full context, because the resume on this man is something out of a spy novel like James Bond, except it's all real and it's all documented. Rafi was born in 1926 in British mandated Palestine. All right. So for those that say that Palestine wasn't a place, I got to be careful, but he was born there, in that place, and he joined Palmac, or Palmatch, or however you say it, the elite strike force of the Haganah as a teenager. And by this time, Israel, I'm trying to figure out like code words. I don't know if I was telling Coach Khan, maybe I should use Boston. I might start using Boston. That would be kind of funny. Put a 1 in the chat if you think I should start using Boston for our favorite ally. I really would like to know. If not, I got to do something, right? Because I don't want to risk it. They're getting even more and more intense on this stuff. So if Boston works, I feel bad. We're going to start hammering all the Northeast. I don't know. The reason why, I don't know, man, because of YouTube. They start to throttle all of your stuff. So I might start using Boston, to be honest with you, with that country, and then they get even worse with polenta. I might use polenta as the other one, unfortunately. But And it's so funny. Let me interrupt myself here for a minute. I was saying to somebody, I don't know, maybe it was on a live stream. I was even saying, I was like, how terrible would that be if in other countries people would lose their like their business or be slandered and censored for saying the word American. How terrible, or the word Christian, or US, the USA. Like, could you imagine, as a person from this country or from that country, how would that make you feel that your government is out here saying, "Oh, they can't say that, or you're gonna be demonetized." Like I would be so embarrassed. But that being said, that's what Boston is doing, and I think we're gonna stick to that. I kind of like it. Detroit. Detroit probably would be a better one, right? Maybe we could use Detroit. Should we use Detroit? I kind of okay. 1 for Boston, 2 for Detroit. All right. Let me put it in the banner. 1 for Boston. All right. 1. All right. Is for 1 for 1 for Boston, 2 for Detroit. This is good. We gotta do that. Let's do this. I'm gonna put it up like that. Yeah. Let's see what the comments say. I might run a poll. I'm gonna run a poll. This will be perfect, actually. I gotta know. I have to know. I've been wanting to do this. I'm glad. Okay. 1 for all right, here we go. All right. Oh, I don't have to put. I'm so dumb. I was typing put 1 here, Detroit. I'm just gonna put Detroit or Boston. Here we go. There we go. The poll is on YouTube. Okay. So, code name for our favorite ally. The poll just went up. All right. I'm gonna let it run. I'm gonna let it run enough to see if I can get some ideas based off. There's 14 votes, and then I'll continue that way, because the name comes up continuously in this conversation. So if we beat 50% on either side, it's my birthday. Let me be free today. No, like, hey, you're getting off topic. I know people get obsessive about what I'm doing. Ooh, Boston is catching up. I'm watching it in real time. In the meantime, while we wait, I'll do super chats. Thank you, F Fundos. Happy, blessed, blissful birthday, Danks. Thank you. Number 625, the Lord makes his face shine on you and be gracious to you. Thank you. God bless. Thank you so much for the ZAR. I think it's South African Rand, if I'm correct. 140. Thank you, Mufondos. Good to see you again. I appreciate you. Welcome to the Gwang 405 member. And Lara, what do we got? Oh my gosh, it's super close. 51 Boston, 49. We've got 49 votes. We need more votes. All right, we're gonna keep going. 323 concurrent viewers. I paused my debrief for the intro. We have a pinned poll. Please vote for the code word. It's 50-50. Come on, don't make me choose. Boston or Detroit? I like them both. 52 votes. All right, I'm gonna end it and then when the next minute comes down, I don't know when that could be right now. So get your vote in. Get your vote in. It's 12:11 my time. Get your vote in. I'm not looking. Oh, time's out. What do we got? Boston. It's Boston. I liked Detroit. Maybe we'll use Detroit for something else. Thank you. Philly. Yeah, so we're going to use Boston. That's funny that it won too. That's great. Fantastic. All right, so Boston it is. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the memberships. Welcome. All right, let me find out where I was at in all of this. Okay, maybe we'll use Detroit for the P one, or maybe Polenta. Yeah, let's use Polenta at least. We'll find a good one for Detroit. I promise. Rafi Eaton was born in 1926 in British mandated Polenta, and he joined the PAL Match, the elite strike force of the Haganah, as a teenager. By the time Boston declared independence in 1948, he was already a combat veteran, but his real career was in intelligence. Eaton rose through the ranks of Shin Bet, Boston's Internal Security Service, and then the Mossad, their foreign intelligence agency. And in 1960, he led the team that tracked down and captured Adolf Eichmann in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Eichmann was one of the primary architects of the Holocaust, the Nazi who organized the logistics of the final solution. And Rafi Eaton's team found him, grabbed him off the street in Argentina, smuggled him to Boston, when he was tried, convicted, and ultimately executed. So this is not a small-time operation. This is, one of the most celebrated intelligence figures is in Boston's history. So after the Eichmann operation, Eaton continued in intelligence until 1972, and then briefly retired to the private sector. But in 1978, Boston's Prime Minister, Menachem Begin, I can't say, I'm sorry, I'm so bad at these. Menachem Begin, what kind of name is Begin? This is the name. Here, I'll put it in the comments. This is crazy right here. Like, how would you say it? Prime Minister Menachem Begin. Can you say that? Called him back. So Eichmann continued intelligence until the 70s, 72, briefly retired into the private sector. But in 78, Boston's Prime Minister Menachem Begin called him back. And in 1981, Eaton was appointed head of unit most Americans have never heard of, LAKAM. LAKAM. The LAKAM, the Bureau of Scientific Relations, Hebrew acronym, created in 1960 specifically by Boston's Ministry of Defense with one mission: acquire scientific and technical intelligence from abroad, primarily from the United States. Let me say that again. LAKAM was created in 1960 as a unit dedicated to stealing American technology. A CIA report from the era noted that the LAKAM gave top priority to collecting U.S. scientific intelligence. During the Cold War, U.S. security officials privately ranked Boston's they ranked them as the second most active intelligence service on American soil, surpassed only by the Soviet Union. Not China, not Britain, not France, Boston. Second only to Russia. So here you have a man who captured Eichmann running Boston's technology acquisition unit, walking into an American software company under a fake name to preview the most powerful database integration tool in the U.S. government's history that's ever been built. Now, ask yourself, does this pattern sound familiar? A foreign interest using a cover identity or a cover entity, gaining access to American systems and American infrastructure under the pretense of a legitimate business. Because when I show you Clock Tower LLC later, which you might have heard me talk about, I want you to remember Dr. Joseph Ben Orr. What happened after Eaton's visit is really where the story goes from concerning to criminal. And according to a 1992 House Judiciary Committee report, officials inside the U.S. Department of Justice conspired to steal Promis's technology from Inslaw. Here's really how it worked: is that in 83, 1 month after Inslaw's owners refused to sell the company to a friend of Attorney General Ed Meese, the DOJ began withholding payments on the $9.9 million contract. Again, they didn't sell to the AG Ed Meese, and then the DOJ, instead of honoring the contract, they started stalling and withholding payouts to the contractee or the contractor. This was deliberate financial strangulation. They withheld millions
forced Inslaw into bankruptcy. The person who built the most advanced intelligence database harvesting or excavation system ever built. The government did that. While the company they forced them into bankruptcy. Imagine OpenAI working with the government on a contract, and because the government couldn't buy it from OpenAI, and they just suppressed them into bankruptcy, and that's it. ChatGPT is gone, and now it's owned by the government. That's what happened. So while the company was fighting for its life in court, a DOJ official named Madison Brick Brewer, was the Promis project manager, was given instructions to provide a copy of the software to Dr. Ben Orr, a representative of the government of Boston. DOJ records showed Brewer received these instructions between April 22nd and May 6th of 1983. On May 6th, he confirmed he had made a copy of the software and would provide it to Dr. Orr before he left the United States for Boston. On May 16th, and that was on May 16th, on May 12th, Brewer delivered the package. And here's the detail that a lot of people may have never heard, is that, and the detail really that should make you concerned about this in general and the possibility thereof anything else like this happening. When the DOJ finally tracked down the real Dr. Joseph Ben Orr in 1993, a decade later, mind you, they discovered something stunning. Is according to his passport records, the real Dr. Ben Orr was never even in the United States during the period when the DOJ claims they have given him the software. So the man who received Promis was not who the government said he was. The DOJ's own records prove it. The real Ben Orr was out of the country. The man who walked into those offices who received that software was Rafi Eaton. He was operating under an alias. So let me turn off this banner. Think about it like that, man. I mean, the DOJ then later asserted that the records on 2 of Boston's mysteriously disappeared, leaving behind only a few memos and vague memories, which happens to be very, very convenient, in my opinion. 2 separate federal courts ruled in 1988 that the Department of Justice had taken, converted, and stole Promis from Inslaw through trickery, fraud, and deceit. So those are the court's words, not mine, not a conspiracy theorist. It's a federal judge. Trickery, fraud, and deceit. Gaslighting, right? I guess gaslighting. It's like that's what they have to do in order to make us fall in line with what they have to trick us, because you can't be honest about it, right? Like, why would they be they can't. It's so annoying. 3 years later, a court of appeals actually overturned both rulings on a jurisdictional technicality after pressure from the federal Justice Department. The theft stood and Inslaw was destroyed, and Rafi Eaton had the skeleton key. Boston, they had the skeleton key. Now, think about this in context of what we investigate from like TPUSA and Form 990s. When a nonprofit files a Form 990 that shows $999,821 going to a Nevada LLC. This is Americans Turning Point has paid, this is fact, paid Clock Tower LLC in Nevada $999,821, which is a LLC in Nevada with 0 employees, no website, and no operations. And that LLC has a remarkably similar name to a FARA-registered foreign agent. And we must ask questions. We must follow the money. We must check records. Bill Hamilton did not have those tools. There was no AFNPT org. There was no Americans for Transparency. There was no internet. There was no internet, at least that we know of, that we could use. There was no searchable FARA database. There was no ProPublica. There was no way for publics to connect these dots. Now, the DOJ was actively destroying evidence. Sound familiar? Evidence of files being destroyed, redacted, the list goes on. Does that sound familiar to today? This is why transparency matters to me, and it should to all of you. That's why I built that site. And it's only just getting started. Now, Eaton didn't just use the Promis as is. He was too smart for that. He brought it back to Boston and assembled a team and former LAKAM programmers. They took apart the software, deconstructed every component, and rebuilt it with modifications and added something called, which was critical, which was called a backdoor. A signal intelligence backdoor called SIGINT, SIGINT, SIGINT. This meant that any government, any intelligence agency, any law enforcement body that installed and used this version of Promis would be, without their knowledge and consent, transmitting everything they processed back to Boston's intelligence in real time. Every criminal investigation, every intelligence report, every financial tracking operation, every immigration record, all flowing back to Tel Aviv in Boston through an encrypted backdoor. Now, to weaponize this globally, Eaton needed a distribution network. You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this story. He couldn't exactly walk into the British government and say, "Hi, I'm the head of Boston's technology and theft unit." "Hi, I'm the head of Boston Technology's theft unit department. Would you like to buy some surveillance software?" No, he needed a front man, someone with global connections, legitimate business infrastructure, and the kind of access that opens doors in governments around the world. Can you guess who that perfect candidate would have been? Now, this is 1980s, 90s, right? So can you put in the chat? I want to know if you can guess if there was one person in the world that's connected to Boston technology and surveillance and the CIA ops. Is there a name that you guys could put together? I'm curious. Is there any? It might be similar to conversations being had today. Close, very close. What? How about up a little bit from that person? Close. Not that. Not particularly. Robert Maxwell. These people are everywhere, dude. Robert Maxwell is the perfect candidate for this operation. The British media mogul, publisher, billionaire, owner of the Daily Mirror, Macmillan text publishers, book publishers for schools. You had a book if you were my age, and dozens of other media properties. He had everything they needed. A man who moved in the highest circles of global power and politics. And according to multiple former Mossad officers and journalists and a longtime Boston intelligence asset as well. This is documented. The most thorough account comes from Gordon Times, a British journalist who wrote The Authorized History of Mossad, published in 1999 as Gideon's Spies, The Secret History of the Mossad. And I've read some of it. I think you should. It's good to know. Thomas conducted extensive interviews. Well, some is I would like to read more. With Rafi Eaton for this book. So did extensive interviews to this Thomas, Gordon Thomas, with Rafi Eaton, and later filed 2 sworn affidavits about what Eaton told them. According to Thomas's sworn testimony, Eaton admitted that Robert Maxwell was recruited to sell Promis backdoor software globally, and sell it did he. According to the affidavit, Maxwell alone sold over $500 million worth of compromised intelligence software to other intelligence agencies, law enforcement agencies around the world, and governments in 40 other countries. Britain's MI5 at the time used it to track IRA members. The Soviet KGB bought it. Canada bought it. Australia bought it. Korea bought it. At least 42 countries by some estimates. every single one of them was being surveilled through the Israeli back door. Boston. Every piece of data they processed was being copied back. Now, here's the part that should terrify you. It terrifies me. Maxwell didn't just sell this to foreign agents. He sold it to American facilities. The backdoored Promis was installed in Sandia National Laboratories and Los Alamos National Laboratory. And these are the crown jewels of American nuclear weapons research. The places where we designed, tested, and maintain our current, our nuclear arsenal. Think about that for a moment. Boston intelligence, through a backdoored software product stolen from an American company and distributed by a British media mogul who was secretly a Mossad asset, potentially had access to data flowing through Americans' own nuclear research facilities. Our ally inside our nuclear labs through stolen software, and nobody was held accountable. In fact, they're your favorite ally. And they haven't signed, like, there's so much to talk about. Now, I want you to keep that in mind when people tell you, oh, it's just a FARA filing, or it's just a nonprofit, or it's not a big deal. They raised money for research. Don't worry about that. The people who told Americans not to worry in 1983 were wrong. The people who told Americans not to worry in 2026 today, who are telling you today, are also wrong. That's why we read documents, and that's why we have the Freedom of Information Act. That's why we have FARA. But Promis wasn't the only LAKAM operation running on American soil, not by a long shot. And this part of the story is one that most people have genuinely never heard. Even though it involves one of the biggest names in Hollywood, at the same time that Eaton was stealing Promis, LAKAM was running another operation through a man, like this is multiple operations, through a man named Arnon Milchan. Do you know Arnon Milchan? Arnon Milchan, he was, if you watched the JE documentary, it was on a website, and Ian Carroll, he dropped a link, and I had to pay $5 for it, and I watched it. And Arnon Milchan, wait till you hear just wait till you hear this. If you don't know the name from intelligence, you know him from movies: Pretty Woman, Fight Club, LA Confidential, 12 Years a Slave, JFK, The Revenant, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Heat, The Big Short, Birdman, over 130 films, two Academy Award nominations for Best Picture, multiple Best Picture wins. Arnon Milchan is one of the most successful film producers in Hollywood history. Okay. His net worth as of January 2026 is estimated at $6.4 billion. He is also, by his own admission, a Boston intelligence operative. In November of 2013 interview in Boston television, Milchan publicly admitted that he had spent decades working undercover for LAKAM. One second. I wanted to see if I can find this thing real quick. Yeah. So the same unit that ran the Promis theft and the Pollard spy ring literally said that. He said that I'm trying to set something up here. Hold on one second. Because for me, I almost forgot about something that I want to show you right after this. And this is super duper important. Yeah, here we go. Okay, cool. Bet. All right. So you've got two operations running at the same time. Okay. Now you've got intelligence inside of the entertainment industry. All right. He said, Milchan said, for this, like he worked for the same unit that ran the Promis theft and the Pollard spy ring. Okay. He said, and I'm quoting from the interview, "I did it for my country and I'm proud of it." I mean, let that sit. He literally, I mean, there's so much to this. I don't know how far I want to go, but I will tell you this on this particular story. he wasn't referring to the United States. He's referring to Boston. Former Boston president Shimon Peres in the same broadcast confirmed that he was personally recruited. He personally recruited Milchan into LAKAM in the 60s. And later his primary operation involved setting up a company called Milco International in Huntington Beach, California, run by an American engineer named Richard Smith. And between 79 to 83, Milchan's network arranged the illegal export of over 800 Krytrons from the United States to Boston. Krytrons are high-speed electronic switches, and their critical application functions as a trigger for nuclear weapons detonations. The export of Tricons is strictly regulated by U.S. government precisely because of their risk for nuclear application. And Boston had tried to obtain them legally, and they failed. So what did they do? They set up a front company in California using an American citizen as the cutout and smuggled 800 nuclear triggers straight to Boston. Allegedly. Actually, I think he admitted it. So these triggers smuggled through this Orange County company, coordinated by a man who was simultaneously producing Hollywood blockbusters and attending Academy Awards ceremonies. I mean, it's almost like out of a movie. And I'll keep this one brief because there's a lot more that I could go through, but involved in AIPAC and all this other stuff. There's a lot here with that. And I'll go deeper. Maybe I should make a video on that. I love talking about this stuff too. And I know that we have a lot of TPUSA stuff, but it all kind of ties together. And I do want to make more content on I'm going to make a poll. Would you like to see more foreign agent videos besides I'm just going to put yes or no. I put a poll. I want to know what y'all think. I want to put it in there. So this is after this, because this kind of ties it all together. Running simultaneously with Promis theft and Krytron smuggling operation, the same LAKAM unit under the same spymaster was running a third operation, and this one became the most damaging publicly known espionage case involving U.S. ally in American history. Jonathan Pollard was a 29-year-old intelligence analyst working for the U.S. Navy's Anti-Terrorist Alert Center in Sweetland, Maryland. He had a high security clearance, and critically, as an anti-terrorism analyst, he had found what intelligence professional he had what, how do I say this? He had a high security clearance, right? And what was critical about this clearance is that as an anti-terrorism analyst, he had what intelligence professionals called a putative need to know that cut across the normal boundaries of agencies and typical issues in these situations, meaning he could access information across multiple international agencies without raising red flags because his job required him to see the entire picture. So does that sound familiar? A system that cuts out across multiple databases, pulling data from different agencies, cross-referencing information in real time. Pollard was a human version of Promis. So in '84, he made a contact named Colonel Sella in Boston's Air Force, and basically Pollard offered his services, and Sella didn't report it to Mossad. He reported through the science counselor of Boston's consulate in New York, and they reported directly to LAKAM, directly to Rafi Eaton. These guys are all working in on it together. So after this, he was volunteered. Eaton volunteered. He was intrigued by all this inside U.S. Navy intelligence, offering to hand over classified documents despite the catastrophic risk of angering Boston's most important ally. Eaton authorized the operation. And what followed was 18 months of systematic theft. Every other Friday, Pollard would remove hundreds of pages of classified material from his workplace. He transferred the documents from his briefcase to a suitcase, often at a car wash, and drove to an apartment near the Boston embassy. There, an embassy secretary named Irit Erb used a specially installed LAKAM copying machine to duplicate everything. Monday mornings, Pollard would pick up his suitcase and return the originals. On the last Saturday of each month, Pollard and his handlers would meet to discuss his next assignments. The volume was staggering. Pollard delivered over 800 highly classified documents, and at one point, he showed up with 5 suitcases of classified material. So a detail that has been widely, I say unreported or discussed is that according to multiple intelligence officials and journalists, including Seymour Hersh of the New Yorker, some of Pollard's stolen intelligence ended up in the hands of the Soviets. And the working theory supported by standard intelligence practice is that Boston traded some more of this American intelligence to the Soviets in exchange for the continued emigration of Soviet you-know-who's straight to Boston. So protecting their own. And fine, whatever. But selling out their favorite ally to get their people out of another country who is, this triangle here is getting kind of dirty, if you ask me. The Pollard guy, he wasn't freelancing. He stated publicly that he was a Boston agent employed by LAKAM, a branch of intelligence, in an operation that was fully sanctioned by Boston's government. And Boston denied it for 13 years straight, claimed it was a rogue operation. But in 88, under pressure, in 98, under pressure, they finally admitted that Pollard was an official agent and the operation was government sanctioned. So the whole time and then guess what happens? Pollard was sentenced to a life in prison. He served 30 years after being paroled in 2015. I think they should just put him in the wood chipper. He moved to Boston in December of 2020 and received a hero's welcome. Your favorite ally in 2020. This was 6 years ago, 5 years ago. And, the handler of Pollard was Yosef Yager. And in 2008, Ben Kadish, an 84-year-old American mechanical engineer, was charged with passing classified documents to the exact same handler. So you've got Yager now, which I didn't mention before, but he was part of this story, running 2 American spies simultaneously for LAKAM. And, there's you might have heard of this story, but the thing is, most Americans don't know this, and they haven't been taught this in school. Neither I wasn't. You watch documentaries and movies and do research. Yeah, you came in late. Boston is, Philadelphia. Philadelphia, Laura. Boston is my Philadelphia. I was telling Coach, I was like, let's hammer the whole Northeast. I should probably use Los Angeles. Anyways, Boston. They all welcomed to live in so the DOJ literally helped them steal software. The courts overturned their rulings on technicalities. The FBI was prevented from prosecuting a known nuclear smuggler. Congress held hearings but didn't follow through. The political influence apparatus today represents by more than $127 million in AIPAC collections annually, spending across 389 congressional races. It creates a chilling effect where no elected official wants to be the one asking the uncomfortable question. And it's not just AIPAC. You've got the United Democracy Project, Super PAC, became possible because of 2010 Citizens United ruling that allows unlimited independent expenditures in elections. And these expenditures, money given to politicians, is considered a voice. That's why they're allowed to do it. So think about the context of TPUSA. Charlie Kirk's organization organizes and operates as both a 501c3 and a 501c4. One is tax exempt and can't do political campaigning. The C4 can do some political activity, but must be primarily focused on social welfare. And then you have the super PACs. And when you layer TPUSA's nonprofit structure, AIPAC, super PAC spending, FARA-registered foreign agent influence operations targeting the same evangelical demographic and experienced Boston pastoral trips, the pastors, you don't have to separate activities. You have a coordinated ecosystem. Each entity has its own legal lane, its own financial operations, but the same target is American evangelical Christians. any Christian really, but specifically, and the outcome is the same: political and cultural influence that benefits a foreign government. Now, is anyone in Congress asking these questions? Is the DOJ investigating the overlap between FARA filed and registered operations and domestic nonprofit activity? Is the IRS auditing the $12.5 million in double dip payments inside TPUSA? You already know the answer. That's why I built my site, afnpt.org, Americans for Transparency. It pisses me off, bro. So anyways, that's the daily debrief. It was kind of long, but there's a lot to talk about. So there's a couple of things I want to show you. So let's start with this one right here. I think you should be able to hear the audio. Let me make sure. Should show, right?
Justin Timberlake, Vince Vaughn, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Just a few of the stars Hollywood producer Arnon Milchan has rubbed shoulders with. But it's his story that should be made into a movie. The Israeli-born businessman behind hits like 12 Years a Slave,
I have a business proposition for you.
Pretty Woman,
Come on, hit me before I lose my nerve.
and Fight Club says he spent years as an Israeli secret agent and arms dealer. In a stunning interview that aired Monday on an Israeli investigative program, Milchan detailed how he was
This was
recruited
12
in the
years ago.
1960s to Israel's Bureau of Scientific Relations, where he helped gather technology to further Israel's still unacknowledged nuclear program, saying, quote, "I did it for my country and I'm proud of it." Milchan moved to Hollywood in the 1970s, but he suggested his efforts on behalf of the
There's a really, like, Arnon Milchan in that movie. I'm going to try to find it while we watch this. Let me see if I can find it so I can drop the link. You guys need to see
Israeli
it.
government didn't end completely. Milchan indicated other big Hollywood players were also involved, saying, quote, "When I came to Hollywood, I detached myself completely from my physical activities to dedicate myself to what I really wanted, filmmaking. But sometimes it gets mixed up." The 68-year-old Milchan owns New Regency Films and has produced more than 120 movies, working closely with directors such as Martin Scorsese and Oliver Stone. He forged an especially close relationship with actor Robert De Niro, who was also featured in the Israeli television program.
I did ask him once, we spoke about something, and he told me
They're all in
that
on
he
it.
was an Israeli and that he of course would do these things for his country.
So you want to come to Hollywood and act like a big shot without actually doing anything? Yeah.
In a story that seems reminiscent to last year's Oscar-winning true-to-life film Argo that depicted the CIA-Hollywood collaboration to rescue U.S. diplomats.
They
stuck
put it
Iran.
in your face. They want you to know. Argo.
It's a safe bet Hollywood execs will be fighting to bring this story to the big screen too. Now, we reached out to Milchan today for comment, Jim, but we were told he is traveling in Europe and unavailable. You know, I have been covering all things Hollywood for a while, Jim, and not much surprises me that goes on there these days, but this is a wow story.
This is, and it's too bad he's unavailable. When he is available, he should come on the Situation Room.
Not much surprises you these days. That's how bad it is. Think about how bad it must be that not much surprises you out of the entertainment industry. It's all a psyop. I'm telling you. It's all gaslighting. It's all lying. It's all in the name of literally covering up their tracks, making it appear that everything is all for the good. None of whatever the government is doing today is for the good. It's not in our best interest. When you are taking hundreds of billions to trillions of dollars and taking it from people that are funding this government that you work for, that if you are a government employee and you are paid by us, you are paid by American taxpayers, that is your responsibility to take care of you. We are no taxation without representation. Do you know what the sentence is very clear here? Okay, it's not a confusing sentence. No taxation without representation. Let me see if I can find something real quick.
In order to better understand the American Revolution.
Let me see. I was trying to find something. This is super important.
Let me see. I haven't even looked anything up yet. I want to see it.
The residents of Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, both of which pay taxes into the United States system, but have 0 members in the House of Representatives and 0 senators.
I don't know what he's talking about, but yeah, essentially, you get what I'm trying to say, right? There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. Taxation without representation. This is super important, you guys.
Fought on multiple continents and although Britain won, it left them
all these shitty videos. I'll make one. I'll have to make one, I guess. But dude, this is super important, man. You're paying tax dollars to people that are stealing your money. This is terrible. It's so bad. And they think that they can take the money and say, oh, well, guess what? No tax on tips. That's fine. But we'll just tax that dollar until it becomes nothing. So when you get paid a tip and you're a waiter, or like for now, when Trump's in office, the way it works is super chats. I'm thankful for all of them that I get. They're not taxed right now, right? So that's a big deal. But at the same time, everywhere we go and spend it, and then they spend. So imagine you pay me a super chat, and then I take that super chat, I extract it into my account, I go to Walmart and I buy some juice, and then that money gets taxed. And then Walmart goes and takes that money. Well, Walmart's not the best example. Maybe a smaller mom and pop, and somebody, they take the money and they buy a service with it or whatever. But still, even Walmart, they buy their software for their computer systems, their POS, their point of sales. That money gets taxed again, the same dollar, same $5. And then the person that sold Walmart the tax whatever, they go and they pay their developers, and then they have to pay taxes on that. And then the developers receive their checks and they pay taxes on that. So the dollar is taxed to infinitum. It's an outrage. So what you have to understand, you are literally slaves. We are slaves to the United States government political system. Because when you are, people will say, oh, well, I'm just, what's the big deal? I'm getting 30% of my check being taxed. Yeah, 30 to 40% of your check being taxed, if depending on your tax bracket. Not only that, your house tax, your land property tax, your phone sales tax, you're being taxed out the wazoo when you go and buy stuff, tax on gas, tax on everything. It's a 50+% tax bracket that we all live in, which means if you are paying somebody else more than half of your money, they have more power of your life financially than you do. That's how it works. So that means that they run you. And they are representing Boston and other countries. I'm done with that bullshit. I am done. There's only one way, really. You all know what it is. I'm going to show Jim Brewer. Hopefully he's cool with it.
Speaking of the
somebody, Project Constitution got hit with a copyright. So I'm being very cautious here. So it looks like his channel has been
many years ago. And you know how many
I really want to show, this was really good. I really want to show this. There's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, and I want to show the site. But if you guys, I want to go see him. He's coming to my city soon. I'm gonna get tickets and go. But if you don't know Jim Brewer, he's a comedian and he's gold. He's really good. I think he's a Christian. He smokes pot and stuff, but he's a good dude. This is a really interesting conversation.
Hey, you haven't seen nothing yet. That's number one.
Listen to what he says.
Everyone and their mother, you haven't seen nothing yet. That's number one. And this is all part of the circus. Why are they releasing part of it, not all of it? You know how many of these images that I saw personally many years ago? And you know how many times I sat there and I watched people watching certain TV shows and have a clueless. Like my kids will watch TV. They used to watch Ellen DeGeneres, right? And I'd go, you ever notice, I go, you know what, Epstein's Island? You ever notice her background set looks just like the island? And they're like, Dad, you're such a conspiracy theorist. Every conspiracy theorist out there right now, all I'm going to say is If you never believed in them, you better start talking to them, because the ones that already knew about this, I'm telling you right now, this is just wave number one. I don't know what they got lined up, but I'll tell you this. You okay over there?
Better get right with God.
I'm just going to tell you this. From my standpoint, I've been praying to God for a very long time that humanity will start to be aware of this, no matter how horrifying it's going to be. In my honest opinion, it's about time that some humanity understands pure demonic evil truly exists, and it's in your society, and it's your politicians, left, right, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, all of them. They're not your heroes. They're not your heroes. You're rock stars. You're not your heroes. You're athletes, the owners. You haven't seen this.
The owners. Did you hear about the Memphis Grizzly basketball owner selling technology to Russia? Doing a deal. I forgot what the story was. They're all in on it. That's the problem. There's only one way.
This is you're just getting the tip of an iceberg, and I'm not sure if some of you are ready for what's about to come. And this is what gets exhausting sometimes when you know this and you tell it to people, and because they don't want to, they ask and they don't want to hear that information after they ask it because it's too much for them. They'll lash out at you and they'll call you a name, or they'll call you a whack job, or they'll call you a conspiracy, or a stoner, or you're just whatever they want to call you. You know what it's like seeing tweets? Years ago, I'd see certain comedians put out tweets talking about pedophilia and talking about, Christy Teigen, she put right out there tweets. She took them all down. Tweets that she basically telling you.
They're in your face. That's what I'm trying to say, man. They are in our face. They don't care. They despise us. They don't like us. And they want all of our money. They want it all. They're not going to stop until they get it all. Okay? Imagine if they didn't get it. They would simp out like a dude on a chick that he likes so much, he'll let her go bang 3 dudes in the afternoon, and he'll go and have dinner with her at night, and she won't even let him kiss her. That's how bad they would simp out. But we're simping out to them by knowing all of the bullcrap that they're doing with our money and letting them continue to do it. How ridiculous does this have to get?
What she's into. This has been going on in your face for so long.
It doesn't just pertain to the Eggstein documents, the files. It's everything. It's everything.
And this is why I tell you it's all noise. The ICE, we're for ICE, we're against ICE. It's all manufactured, folks, to keep your eyes off of what they're going over here. Are you going to protest now? What are you going to do now? Just get angry and upset? What are you doing? What are you going to do with this information? Is anyone going to protest for children? Is anyone going to storm to the White House and drag people out of there? Is anyone going to start organizing and saying, we're taking over the world now? What are you going to do about it? Or are we still worried about left and the right and the Democrats and the Muslims?
There we go.
It's all just well-planned, designed to take your morality out of you. You better get right with God, man. That's your only hope. I don't care what you said. And I'm not religious. I'm not what you call born again. I'm telling you, you better get right with God, love, consciousness, whatever it is, because you have no clue what's on the way. And until you tap out of this madness of watching the television, and did anyone watch the Oscars? Was it the Oscars? What was on? Did anyone watch the Grammys? Why? Why? Who's sitting there going, I'm so glad they won an award. Is there seriously something wrong with you? Wait, oh my God, what part of any. What's really funny, you know how many pedophiles in that room? And they're the ones going, we need to support the anti-ICE, the people, and we can't have people coming in here and creating more pedophilia and stealing children. We're against it. You know how many pedophiles in the room are talking about that? They put the tweets out. They're out there for you to look at. Go look at Christy Teigen's tweets. Go. How do you stop this whole system?
There we go.
What drives?
Now he's going to talk about how do we stop it. I want you to hear from him. I hope that this video doesn't get hit too badly. I forgot that he said all that stuff, but he's going to talk about this.
And I'm not saying you should do this. You know the big movement, if you were to ask me, and I'm not saying you should do this. How do you stop this whole system? What drives it? Money. Money. Don't pay taxes. Don't pay taxes. Watch how fast every politician be like, whoa. Don't pay taxes. What do you pay taxes for? Why do we pay taxes? To send money to the I country? To send money to other countries? TikTok already took us down. I need everyone else to take us down. You know, I don't need Biblicious over there going, he's talking about us again. Trump, do something. Can't you bomb Naples, Florida? Find this guy. Give us more money. Do something. I'm just saying. Why are we going to pay taxes? What can we do, Jim? What can we do? Stop paying taxes. They take our money. They laugh in your face. They give it to others. They create war. They create chaos. We're infiltrated. So we got to take care of one another. The minute you find out, forget your left, right, forget your Republican, Democrat, forget all that. Start taking care of one another and look.
Start taking care of one another. That is like the best. And you can't, I'm not endorsing that, right? But it only happens if everybody at once does it. And I don't think everybody's ready. You're talking companies, people, DBAs, LLCs, nonprofits, nonprofits don't, but that's even crazier. You know that $500 billion every year is contributed to nonprofits. There's 1.8 million nonprofit companies in the United States today. 1.8 million. They bring in $500 billion a year in untaxed money. There you go. They hate it when we all get along. Yeah, of course. That's why they have left versus right. That's why they have Democrat, Republican, liberal, bullcrap, whatever. They created the system this way. Democracy is not even what our country was built on. It was built as a republic. Let's see. A democracy is a government where power is vested in the people. There's a poll. I would love if more of you voted. 152 voted. There's 300 people in here. Make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe, turn that notifications with all on, because I know people are getting the subscription taken away somehow. I don't know why that's happening. So I would love it if you could do that and let me know in the next live stream if you're getting subscriber notifications taken away. Because if you do it, you'll remember and you'll be able to say, okay, well, now I know. And you can tell me so I can report it. I need to report it. While the terms are often used interchangeably, the primary difference between democracy and republic lies in the limitations of government power and protection of minority rights. A democracy is characterized by the rule by the majority, while a republic is characterized by the rule of law and the election of representatives. The United States is considered both a constitutional republic and democracy. Democracy, citizens exercise power, and in some states, voting directly on ballot initiatives. The government is bound on a republic. On a republic element, the government is bound by a constitution that restricts the majority's ability to take away fundamental rights from the minority. When did a democracy get enacted in the USA and why?
The United States was established as a representative democracy and constitutional republic. I'm not that well versed in history, so let's find out more. The democracy was not enacted as a single event, but rather evolved through layers of legal framework and social struggle. When was it enacted? There are several key filings. In 1788 and 1789, the Constitution created a system where the consent of the governed was exercised through elected representatives. At this time, however, only about 6% of the population could vote. In 1820 to 50s, Jacksonian democracy, property requirements were gradually abolished across states, expanding the vote to all. So they implemented this voting system. Okay, it was enacted. Now, the thing is, it's part of the system, right? However, they've created this legal framework. How have they changed the legal framework in democracy to have voting to be left up to the delegates in the end of a voting period? This is the most important. In the United States, the legal and procedural framework for leaving it up to delegates exists primarily in two systems, the Electoral College and the primary party system. Changes to these frameworks have generally moved toward restricting delegate independence to ensure they reflect the party primary system. In modern U.S. politics, when you vote in a primary, you are technically voting for delegates to represent your choice at a national convention. Pledged versus unpledged. Recent frameworks, they made a reform in the Democratic Party. Following criticism of the 2016 primary, the Democratic National Committee changed its rules to bar superdelegates from voting on the first ballot. The Electoral College. For the final presidential election, the 12th Amendment established the framework where delegates cast the final votes for the president and vice president. So they've made changes, but the issue is that they're supposed to represent our vote. But the problem is, why doesn't all of the votes just add up? Have you ever noticed that? That's a whole nother, I'm not that well versed in this side of, I'm not even well versed in politics in general. So I'm learning as we go. But super delegates, delegates, all of this stuff, it creates this system where we are not in control. And they make us feel like we're in control, like we're voting for something. Well, what did you vote for with Trump? What did you vote for with Trump? Are you getting it? Are we getting mass deportations? Even though the way it's being handled, are we getting it? No, because if they were, they would be doing it by going to specific places to do this. Are we getting transparency? Complete opposite, in fact. Okay, complete opposite. Because guess what? Until this website came along, it has been very untransparent. All right. Candace retweeted this, which is dope. General Flynn posted on it, on my post. Let me find it. It's down here on her page. Yeah, here it is. So, are you ready to see exactly which companies are registered with foreign agents of Boston through official U.S. government FARA filings? I built this platform for Americans because nobody else would. It's live, it's free, and the receipts are inside. The link is in the description of this video, of this live stream. Here's what I found. Okay, let's go look at Clock Tower LLC. First of all, let me make this a little bigger for myself here. I'll make it so that y'all can see this better. So maybe I'll put myself down here. So you've got AIPAC, 100, and you can click on each one of these, and then there's Agent Danks, and you can talk to Agent Danks. It's an AI agent that I built. Okay, it knows everything about this website. So you have, these are like my active investigations, right? AIPAC, Canary Mission for foreign surveillance. AIPAC is a money pipeline. Clock Tower is, in what my opinion is a was helped to be funded through TPUSA, in my opinion, because they have on their Form 990 filings, Clock Tower LLC. Let me see if I can find it, actually. This would be perfect to show you. I think it was on, gosh, if I could find it.
Let me see. Give me a second. I want to find this because this kind of is important. Actually, it might be in my downloads. Let me see. Clock tower. Let me see. Clock tower. If I can find this, would be perfect, to be honest. I think it's in here. Clock tower. I need to find the specific payout for clock tower. If I go to here, let me just ask my AI because it has all that in there. And I want to show you this payout. But here, you guys can read this if you want while I look up exactly. So you'll get an idea of how this all works. Give me 1 second. So, and you can see Turning Point, America's Turning Point, funded Clock Tower LLC, almost like $180 shy of $1 million. Let me see. What Form 990 and section for which entity is the clock tower payment in research for Turning Point? I think it'll tell me, and I have all the 990 so I can pull them up. I think it was 2020. I could be wrong. I want to show you, but essentially it says it on here for now. Not only that, they're funding. Sound keeps cutting in and out. Is there an issue? What is it making stuff up? It shouldn't be. I built it for I built it specifically to be legally defensible. So if that's not the case, then I need to know. All right, it's in fiscal year 2020. But it should have access. Like what, like give me a question I would like to know. What are the PJTN red flags? All right, let's see. I have it right here. So 2020 fiscal year. Here we go. So fiscal year Turning Point USA. It doesn't make stuff up. Like it only uses the internet when it needs to, and it's educated on all the documents. So on this site, it shouldn't be, at least. Okay, so 2020 for fiscal year 2020 on the Form 990 of Turning Point USA. So fiscal year 2020. Let me find it. Oops. I want to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Clock. Okay, that's not it. It's this one then, maybe. Clock. Oh, come on, dude. It's in the grants section. You'll have to take my word for it. For now, I didn't have it prepared. But yeah, anyways, what they did, let's see what this says. So I asked, PJTN is that company, Proclamation Justice to the Nations, Lori Cardoza Moore. She has a Defense of Boston through churches nonprofit that Americans are paying for. And she lives off of that money, dude. She's taking 27% of the company's money. Okay. And that's a fact. So America's Turning Point, a 501c4. All right. Oop, let me hide that. A 501c4 paid a company called Clock Tower LLC for research on educational outputs. All right. I'll just make myself bigger again. So then that Clock Tower LLC in Nevada, managed by a front man, Nicholas Miller, who worked with the family that I think they owned, his family owned Key State Captive Management in the same building, or he was a front man for that company, had 0 employees, 0 websites, no visible operations, and then dissolved. And they just did this transaction that I could see from Turning Point, America's Turning Point. And then a foreign agent, okay, first let's start here. Brad Parscale, who worked for Trump as a campaign manager and was a business and working associate for Charlie Kirk for a decade with Charlie Kirk and Trump, opened a Clock Tower LLC. And it was referred to not at, see, it shows Clock Tower X, but he even referred to it as Clock Tower. I think it was him or
the news reporter referred to it as Clock Tower LLC. They didn't put an X. They just put it in there for, in my opinion, they separated it and made an X for confusion or to separate. Okay, this is my opinion. It's a Delaware FARA-registered foreign agent for the state of Boston via Havas Media Germany GmbH, and the owner is Bradley Parscale. Worked in the White House for the White House, helping Trump as a campaign manager or pre-White House, working with Charlie Kirk. And I want to be clear, while we cannot confirm that these are the same legal entity, because they are not, the naming pattern, Clock Tower, and what's interesting is there's a clock tower in his hometown, I think it's Medina, Ohio. Like the estimation here is that they named it Clock Tower off of the clock tower that's famous in the city of Ohio. And they're in Ohio. Okay, this is all just opinion. Not only that, they're paying, this is on the Form 990, they're paying Boston, they're paying the UK, they're paying Switzerland, they're paying Mexico. All right, this is just 1 year, or I think it's 1 year, maybe it's more years, but the thing is, look at, that's just one, this is just turning point. That now this is where we start to bring all of it together. Okay, you've got, this is the main arm here, the Boston Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Okay, but look at how far it reaches out, and then the money that's involved. You've got show faith, but this is the clock tower one. If you click over here, and then you can go to the FARA filings. Okay, Clock Tower LLC. It should work. I haven't used the site much. I've just been building it. But it shows all the FARA documents are in one place now for the major companies. This is just FARA stuff. All right. But I've got not only FARA, I've got AIPAC, I've got look at all this Clock Tower LLC FARA filings. There's dozens of them, if not hundreds. Foreign principal unknown amendment. This is all just one company. They're all on here. Foreign principal for the state of Boston. Havas Media Network exhibit. Okay? Just one company. Go back to foreign agents. Look at all these companies. They're all working here with the same agenda. They all do different things, like Havas, intermediary, routing Boston government funding to U.S.-based operations since 2014. Clock Tower, anti-Semitism campaign with AI and SEO manipulation for evangelical targeting per FARA filing, and they're collecting $9 million for this. Havas, $150 million. Show Faith by Works, $4.1 million. Registered. Church geofencing campaign targeting, 303 megachurches with pro-Boston messaging per FARA filing. All right. And now we're looking to build a system. I can build a system. We're trying to raise money for
60 Minutes. Rewind.
Since the day 3 years ago when the FBI apprehended Jonathan Pollard for spying on the United States, he has never talked to any American reporter. Tonight, for the first time, he does. Pollard, a Jewish American, used his position as a naval intelligence analyst to spy for Israel. For 17 months, he smuggled thousands of top-secret documents from U.S. Naval Intelligence Headquarters in Maryland and carried them in a large suitcase weekend after weekend to his Israeli spymasters, who paid him handsomely for turning over to them some of this nation's most closely held secrets. In 1987, he was sentenced to life in prison. His wife, Anne, is serving 5 years as an accessory after the fact. Pollard is held at the federal penitentiary in Marion, Illinois, the toughest maximum security prison in the United States.
Listen to this dude.
Until
and what
now,
he
Pollard
says.
has not talked to the American public because the federal government, fearful that he might blurt out classified information,
I can't believe that they just let him live.
has blocked his access to the press. However, after months of negotiations with the U.S. Department of Justice and the Office of Naval Intelligence, 60 Minutes was...
I love this. We built our house from watching YouTube videos and books from Home Depot. That's dope. Yeah, books. YouTube has done a lot. I've done a lot too. I've learned a lot from YouTube. So you can learn a lot. I recommend backsourcing it and finding out the truth behind it and making sure it's correct. But dude, YouTube is a game changer for being able to help get a fast-paced, informative take on something that you might never have heard of, right?
I want to see if let me look through something real quick.
Able to sit down with him.
Who all was here, just out of curiosity? Oh, I can see
I was gonna show that O'Keefe clip, right? That's what I wanted to show. I don't know why I wasn't doing that. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. James O'Keefe. Dude, this guy, oh, he released one now? It's 27 minutes. I don't want to just play his whole video. Let's see the intro of this.
My book and brag that he wants to kill me. There's a bullet right through my heart.
Okay, let's see what
you were a confidential informant to the
FBI. But I think you guys should all go to James O'Keefe. I'll put it in the comments in the chat. I just want to see the intro on this and see what he says.
I saw him get shot. I wished that was my immediate first reaction was why couldn't it have been O'Keefe?
1,000 sources in the DOJ and CIA I talk to all the time. Okay. That's why I fed the Southern District tons of shit to try and get him in prison.
So could you tell us the truth about who you fed dirt to SD and why? And you're a rat. You're an FBI informant.
No, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
I've already fed the Southern District tons of shit on him.
Could you tell us more about how you said you were
They're everywhere. They are everywhere.
Confidential informant to the SDNY?
About you?
Who did you feed SDNY information? You went to the FBI, Matt. You're a rat.
You are the most evil motherfucker I've ever met.
But I'm not a rat.
You know who I've talked to about all of your criminal activity? Everybody who would listen. The IRS and other agencies.
So you did go to the FBI.
See, they threaten with IRS and funding because they want to scare you out of not talking. This guy's a rat, a snitch for the government.
I have talked to many people who have called me from law enforcement agencies.
When did you feed the Southern District of New York tons of shit,
When
Matthew?
people called me and asked me questions about you, I answered them truthfully and honestly.
So we have Matt Tierman is on tape admitting to be an FBI informant. He's the first time breaking news. This is pretty nuts, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, well, that's my property.
So I would highly encourage watching that. I don't want to, I get nervous about the copyright stuff, especially what happened with Project Constitution. So I'm going to watch this afterwards. And James O'Keefe does great work. I would love to get involved, man. He does great work, man. Hidden camera stuff. Let me see if I can find. There was one that I really liked. If I can find it, I'll show a couple of clips of it. He released one of the FBI guy basically saying how they're just like not going to prosecute, but it wasn't that damning. I wanted to show something that I've seen before. Let me see if I can find it. Here, let me go to YouTube actually. James, I'll leave Candace open so I can monitor that. James O'Keefe Media. Oh, I'm not subscribed. The guy, bro, this is American stuff right here. This is what I'm saying is we have to start to take our country back by auditing the people that we are paying trillions of dollars every year to in taxes. We have to. Otherwise, we're going to be left holding the bag, and that bag is going to be empty. I'm telling you, the bag is going to be empty. Let me see if I can find it. That one, like this one was crazy, bro. There's a lot of them that are crazy. Let me see undercover footage. Maybe if we find a short clip that I can show you guys. Calls action after admitting to crimes. Not NIH. There's so many of them that they've caught people doing. CIA Dem insider caught admits gerrymandering. Where is it, dude? I guess caught tape slamming Americans who oh, this is it.
There are some people that have apparently decided that Trump is worth praying for. Get the f out of here, people. This is wild times. The Republican Party in this country has decided that their standard bearer to represent their views is someone of Milchan. We've established over the last 8 years that Trump is a life.
Whether or not it's true, okay? You're talking about teaching this stuff inside classrooms. It's gone so deep that they are brainwashing. And when they say that this is for real happening.
I'm not quite sure why we would thank the Lord Jesus Christ for any politician. But there are some people that have apparently decided that Trump is worth praying for, thanking God for Trump's existence. This is a poll that was conducted in August of this year. Religious leaders, 42% of people trust what religious leaders are telling them. Their friends and family, 63%. But apparently among Trump voters, they believe what Trump is telling them, 71%. So your family and friends, not really sure, but Trump, he's definitely telling the truth. Get the out of here, people. This is wild times.
This is what they're teaching in school.
That we've established over the last.
What's your query? I didn't see it. Let me see your Vahid Reina. It's for, I can't, there's so many comments, I can't see it, but if you type it again, I'll try to look for it. Yeah, this is correct.
8 years is that Trump is a liar. The dude just constantly lies.
This is the stuff happening.
I mean, that is every personality cult history. Because that means whatever he tells people, people are going to believe. Even if their friends and family are like, that's not true, don't believe him. They're like, sorry, right? Even if, like, their pastor on Sunday, right? And they're like, no, sorry, you. Sorry, Father, you, Trump.
This has to stop. Whether or not it's true, this stuff has to stop. The political brainwashing and the side taking is propaganda. It's fake. It's fake and gay. Okay. There's no reason for us to be telling people what to believe and what not to believe. Educators are supposed to be educating students on politics, on how it's like. If you're a political science major, you shouldn't be going and hearing someone's opinion that they're being probably paid for to display that information to you. I mean, it's crazy. I didn't go to college, okay? Not for this. I went to culinary school and wine school. But when you start getting people graduating from school paying, first of all, I think the whole school system is for the most part, unless you're doing something like invaluable, is a scam, right? I think it's a big money scam. Let me see if I can find, there was another video I wanted to see if I could show. You go to this thing here. Why America supports Boston. This one's pretty good too. We're going to end it soon. I just wanted to read off to the members and super chats, but I think we went through them. Let's watch this and then we'll close up.
You make the observation in your book, and you say that you've said it many times when you were president of the United States, that no president is ever going to desert Israel, right?
Correct. I put it more bluntly. I said, as I told congressional leaders during the 1973 Yom Kippur War, no American president will let Israel go down the tube.
Right.
Democrat or Republican, it's not an issue.
That is stated fairly categorically, and yet in your book you make it clear at the same time that Israel really is not of any enormous strategic value to the United States anymore.
That's correct.
So why then would the United States continue to burden itself with huge loans, in some cases outright grants, to the Israelis, jeopardize possibly young American fighting men, when there is no strategic value involved, or little strategic
Because the United States is concerned by more than strategic values. That's maybe a weakness, but it's the way we are. And there are moral issues involved here. We don't have an alliance with Israel. As you know, they're not an ally of the United States in the technical sense. But we have a bond to Israel that's much stronger. It's a moral commitment because of what happened during the Holocaust, and a moral commitment.
How long are they going to tout this crap, dude? How long are they going to tout it? It's so tiring, man. It's like, are you the only people that have gone through some hardships and people dying? No. And then you're going to buy out all of our media? It's like, my gosh, bro. It's so ridiculous, dude.
Because it is a democracy, the only democracy in that area. And under the circumstances, that is why American presidents and the American people in the future will support all out the survival of Israel if it's attacked.
You've always been a very tough, pragmatic man. And I just wonder if you were the president of Israel and you heard Richard Nixon talking that way, or for that matter, heard any sitting American president talk that way, and say, but there's really no strategic value anymore, how much faith would you place in that kind of a moral commitment if push really came to shove?
If I were the president of Israel, I put a great deal of faith in it because of the track record of the United States, and also because he would know that that is the way the American people are. There is no doubt whatever of our commitment to Israel.
See, that's the thing. And then if you look, if they're so confident in our commitment to Boston, then why are they using companies funded through their Ministry of Foreign Affairs like this? Why? Look at, I mean, you've got all of this intel here. And then not only that, you've got AIPAC, 120. You know who the number one investor? Yeah, might as well. Your donations to AIPAC are investments. Good point. It's an investment. This money is an investment to get their political bias in their view and shove. It's not just talking. They actually change the way your phone's algorithm works by geofencing your location. If you go to a church, a Christian church, the church is geofenced. This is a fact. I'm going to make a video soon. I've got evidence of a church that is in litigation because they're being geofenced through this method. And then what they're doing is they're sending 100% fact. The church is in court for this. I have the documents. I have a whistleblower documentation. I have a whistleblower that I'm talking to, and they're coming out. I've already got all the information. They're coming out and they're showing me court records of a litigation going on for a church attached to geofencing propaganda efforts. And what they're doing is they geofence the location. Then when you go into the church, you have to stay in within 4 minutes, and then it tags to your phone and it follows you everywhere you go. And then it reads all the data on your phone, and then it sends all of the data. It reads it, and then it slips in. That's why, this is why I was showing you the clock tower, what they do, because what they do is right here. AI-driven content generation, SEO manipulation, and integration with network Salem Media Network properties. So they literally have campaigns to change your algorithm on the applications that you're using to share a message, so you subconsciously get their bias. They all work together, is what I'm trying to tell you. I got to make a video on this. And it's all funded legally. Oh, just because they filed a FARA, perfect, they filed it. Let's just like let them do. Dude, $150 million for propaganda against American citizens. Why is that legal? Did we vote on that? Let me look. Did we as did Americans vote for the ability to have FARA filings and allow foreign agents to legally operate in the country? And why is it legal? I'm sure we created something, but no. Okay. Americans did not vote. Let's see what happened here. Americans did not vote directly for the ability for FARA. Rather, the law was enacted in Congress by Franklin Roosevelt in 1938. Why is it legal for foreign agents to operate? It is legal for foreign agents to operate in the U.S. because the law focuses on transparency rather than prohibition. Yeah, that's surely true. First Amendment. The U.S. Constitution protects the right to petition the government and freedom of speech, regardless of whether the advocate represents a domestic or foreign interest. So what they do is they have to create some type of inside the United States shell company, and then they take the information and money from another country, send it to the LLC that's filed in the United States, and then they can legally say whatever the hell they want. Transparency as a tool. Instead of banning activities, instead of banning foreign agents operating propaganda techniques on American citizens, we'll just tell them
At least they're telling us. FARA required, but like going through the FARA documents is not easy. That's why the site that I made is so important, because it makes it easier to understand. If you go on my X, I post stuff all the time there. You can see that. But dude, and then you got the Canary mission. They all work together. Non-FARA registered agency. The foreign government is targeting American citizens on American soil. A Boston-operated surveillance operation called Canary Mission is compiling dossiers on American citizens for exercising their First Amendment rights. Your government knows about it. Your government uses that data, and nobody has done a thing to stop it. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is documented in unsealed federal court records published by Politico, invested by Dropsite News, and the subject of a formal DOJ investigation request by 70 American organizations. The question we all deserve to answers to: how is a foreign government allowed to compile dossiers on American citizens? Why is the Department of Homeland Security using unverified foreign surveillance data to deport Americans? Why hasn't the DOJ enforced FARA? Is the U.S. government complicit? Why is this legal? It's not. They just haven't been caught, or nobody wants to catch them. Under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, any person or entity acting on behalf of a foreign government to influence American public opinion or policy must register with the Department of Justice. Failure to register is a federal crime. Canary Mission is operated from Boston. It is funded through Boston's nonprofits. It is built from a Boston tech company. Its internal timestamps are in a Boston time zone, and its entire purpose is to silence Americans who criticize Boston government policy. That is the textbook definition of a foreign agent under FARA. And yet, Canary has never registered, not once, not ever. The law is clear. Agencies can be established through conduct. Political activities include efforts in influencing public opinion. Willful failure to register is punishable by 5 years plus $250,000. I mean, if we're not going to uphold the laws that are made, then what is the point of having the laws? So anyways, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on my birthday. Go into the website, check it out, share it, share this stream with others. I might leave this open and not members only. We'll see. But for now, they are always open for 3 days, 72 hours. And then sometimes I make them members only, depending on the conversation. Today is not that. It's not something I feel would danger me litigation wise. So it should be fine. But yeah, so dude, like this stuff has to stop. I don't know any other way to put it. We have to talk about it. Laura, thanks for gifting a membership. Welcome again. Gwang, thank you for the super chat. I read this earlier. I'll read it again. Happy, blessed, blissful birthday, Danks. Number 625. The Lord makes his face shine on you and be gracious to you. Thank you so much. M. Fundos, thank you. I appreciate you. Welcome, Laura. It's only 99 cents if you want to join the membership. You can join for Friday nights. We have members on Friday mornings, Pacific Standard Time. We have members only live streams every single Friday. I've already started last Friday, and we're going to continue doing that. So it's 30% more in the App Store. So I encourage you to use a browser if you want to just pay the 99 cents, because that money doesn't go to me. It goes straight to Apple. I don't know if Android does the same thing, but if you want to be a part of the Danksters Intel group, join us and come hang out on the live streams. Welcome, Elizabeth. Welcome, Casey. Yeah, man. I mean, make sure that you stay educated. Go read some books, understand what's going on out there, and yeah. Demand real transparency. What they're giving us is a bunch of bull crap, man. So thanks a lot, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Like, subscribe, notifications, all that. And let me know in the next one if after you turn on the notifications to all, the next stream that you see me or in the next video that you see from me, please put it in the comments. Let me know if you're getting unsubscribed. I really need to know. All right. Love you all. Thank you. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.